Hey everyone, and welcome back to Grace and Cherish. My name's Alexa. It's a new day. It's also a rainy day. It's raining a bit here, nothing too bad. We've had some good storms, which we welcome. Our pond had gotten a lot lower. Our plants definitely wanted some more water, so I'm thankful for the rain that we're getting. I am out because I was just cutting some sunflowers, and I'm also going to cut some other flowers, and I need to pull out some plants. We have an infestation of bugs that were eating our gourds, that ate our pumpkin plants. I'm learning quite a bit about pests and things, being a new gardener. And so we have had some really successful things, but then we've also had some really, just difficult ones. In fact, I keep looking away right now because I see a bug that has been destroying some of my other plants. So let me show you. Okay, so this is the eastern leaf-footed bug, and you can see, let me see how close up I can get. So this bad boy likes to eat sunflowers. You can see he's eaten, he or she, he's eaten some of the leaves here already. It'll eat other plants too. I've seen a few of them around here. So there's one of them. Let me show you the plant that it's on right now. Let me zoom, zooming the wrong way. Here we go. So you can see our big sunflower plants here. It's the smaller variety here, but it's had its fill. I'm also growing watermelon, and our watermelon plants are having a grand old time. They are spreading everywhere, which I knew they would do, but they're going everywhere. It's kind of funny. And I'm kind of just letting it go at this point, but I have two watermelons right here. There's another one right next to that one. Then I have watermelon back here, and then you can just see this jungle. And then I just spotted another watermelon. Where'd it go? Oh, there's a small one right here. I actually didn't even notice that one before. Let's see, there's a small one. This is going into my flower bed, into the area where flowers I planted didn't grow. So I'm actually kind of glad for that, because I'm just gonna let these watermelon spread out there. And then, oh, I see a baby. Oop, excuse me, and hitting my camera. But there's another watermelon, but I just found a baby one. Let me show you. And here's another one. Let me move this out of the way. Beautiful. So this next segment I'm going to call Good News, Bad News. Good news? Our grape plants are growing and they're vining up. I can see, this is a lot of new growth since we planted them. Good news. This one is also growing. Good news. This plant over here, very dead. I had to harvest it the other day because that is also where some of our infestation has been. We have had some bugs that are, I want to say squash beetle, something like that. But they have got my pumpkins, got our gourds, a lot of them. I'll actually show you some of the gourds I picked from a few days ago when I filmed and what happened with those. So that has been very unfortunate. Good news, bad news. The nature of gardening, right? One of the things we look for, right? It's right here. See these? So I'm gonna get rid of them, but this gourd that I just showed you right here, this is something I am seeing. Oh, let me fix that. That's something I'm seeing on our cucumbers also. I'll see if I have any today and I'll show it to you. Here at Grace and Cherish, we make it a point to make beautiful and hospitable places. However, I fear that I have made it too hospitable for these bugs. Oh man, there are a lot of them down here. More good news, bad news. This is our sweet potato plants. I had about 75 slips. I think I planted 60 of them, and this is what this bed is. This area right here, those are weeds, and there's one other there, but honestly, the rest of this they really are sweet potatoes, and they've been doing wonderfully. Growing really well so far, so hopefully that will only continue. I also see actually that my grapevine is actually on, my grapevine needs to get moved because that is going down. Need to move that up. So that's there. But yes, this good news. Gourds that I planted, bad news. But let's keep going because there's some other good news in here. All right. Good news, bad news, my tomatoes. Good news, I had a friend who did a plant swap and she said, hey, you can borrow, we have some extras, do you want them? And I said, yes, I'd love to have the tomato plants, I have the space. So she brought them over to me. Good news. Bad news, the plant that she gave me consistently has this issue. Other plants on here don't have it. So I thought it was something that I did, something I need to change in all the soil, but I noticed that it's really isolated this problem, which, let me just pull it and bring it up close. This problem right here is predominantly in this one plant that I received from a friend. So it's not in every plant that she gave me. I received 3 or 4 from her from that plant swap, but this. When I looked it up, it said it was blossom end rot and had to do with deficiencies within the soil. If you're familiar with planting tomatoes and you know more information about that, please feel free to share in the comments because let's all help each other. But this is an issue I've seen over and over. And then, yeah, it's just, again, this though looks like something has been be eating it, but again, it's only on this side. That side, if you go all the way, let me fix the camera, all the way to the end over there, that's where some of the plants that I started that are thankfully growing really well. I don't see that issue over there. So I don't know. Some of the cherry tomatoes that I received also as a part of that gift, those have been growing fine. Some of them have issues, most of them don't. So it's mostly just this one plant, and I'm trying to learn a little bit about it. I tried to fix the soil to see if that would help. I put in this fertilizer to see if that would change anything, and it hasn't. I mean, you can see the thing is growing really well, which is great, but yeah, most of the fruit has that issue. So again, for those of you who are more familiar, have more knowledge about growing tomatoes, let me know. I'd love to get your tips and put into practice some things that might help these plants. But let's continue. Some more good news, bad news. All right, so this next area is good news, bad news. Good news is these beans grow very well. In fact, so well. I barely had to do much. Hi. So this is where I planted our Kentucky yellow on this side. And then on this side, it was a variety of Kentucky yellow and blue like pole bean. So they grow super well. Bad news was that I shouldn't have planted so many. In fact, I planted so many plants and they were, it was growing well, but I'm noticing even up here, it's just making it different for things to grow very well. And I'm concerned about if there's enough air going through and all that. But so it looks lush and green and awesome, but I just recognize from just stewarding the food piece of it, for me, that's important. And I feel like I'm wasting in some ways because it's just, there's so much and I can't get to it. So I don't like that because I don't want to waste things, but I am thankful for just in this learning period, being able to see that, know where I can make adjustments, and just knowing how well the beans grow over the arch. So this first arch and the third one, there's 3 here. The ends are all beans and similar issues of planting too many at once. But they grew well, produced wonderfully. And then in the middle are my cucumber plants. And let's go check those out next. All right, up next in our good news, bad news. Good news is these cucumbers are growing amazingly well. They are great producers. It's wonderful. Bad news is I have lots of this going on, so I'm gonna actually go through and clean some of it off. But it is a really unfortunate experience that there's just so much of that on both sides. I planted on one side of the trellis and I planted on the other side. Also found these on the plant. When I do my little Google search, it says that they're squash bugs, but they also look different than other squash bugs I've seen, so I don't know. So now this is the other side of the trellis with the cucumbers, and similar to the beans, I recognize that I shouldn't have planted as many as I did. I should have done 2 plants instead of 3 along this. The trellis this way is 50 inches, so I should have done 2 plants. I think that would have been best. But this area right here, that's also the same stuff that I just showed you on the other plant. So that is definitely one of the big big issues I've had. Also, because these are fantastic producers, they're growing really well. They're actually extending out to my tomato cages, which is where I actually put the peppers, the bell peppers. But these vines, like, they're just growing out that way, which isn't a huge deal, but it's just, again, I think if I'd done only 2 plants, that might have helped with just the congestion, I guess is maybe the word I would say. But, and some more good news. Look at the zinnias. But honestly, more than looking at the zinnias, look at what's on them, because this is what's making me so thankful, excited, joyful. I mean, look at the pollinators. And if there's anything that was important to me, it was that this happened. I wanted to bring flowers that add such beauty and all of that. Yes, but to see nature doing its thing, and to know that I could be one very small part of that, and creating a place that's hospitable to them, and in turn, by it being helpful to the pollinators, it's helpful to all of us. And so I'm just thankful, very thankful for that. So this is definitely, to me, just a good. In our final segment of good news, bad news. Good news, I grew a pumpkin. For the first time in my life, I grew a pumpkin. That's good news. The bad news is I did not pick the pumpkin at the right time, and this one is actually the best looking one, but there was, in some of the other plants, my pumpkin plants, they grew phenomenally, but then eventually they just got taken over. And a kind commenter on here said they were vine borers, which I think they were right, and they just demolished the plants. So I should have had a bounty of pumpkins, and I had very few, and then the ones I did have got eaten. So that's the bad news, but the good news is no one can take away the fact that I grew a pumpkin. So I'll take it. But yes, I'm definitely learning. Pests are teaching me a lot. All right, well, this one's gonna be a short one. I just wanted to do a quick walkthrough in the garden and looking at it in July. This was the month that I was afraid of. So I was like, this is gonna be the hard month, but if I can push through this, I'm like, we'll be okay. So I do think that every time I look around, I'm very thankful. There's a lot of good news, there's a lot of bad news, but in all of it though, I do find so much hope, and there's so much beauty. And when I look at the lush greenery, when I look at the flowers coming up, when I look at the surprises, things I didn't even know, some plants I planted that are like flowers that I actually didn't know what they would look like, and to be surprised by their beauty and their grandeur is something that is such a gift that I don't want to take for granted. And so I just hope for you too. I would love to know, what's your good news? What's your bad news? What are the things happening in your garden? What are the things that you wish weren't happening in your garden? And I hope that in all of this, we remember, at least for us, the reason we do this is not just about ourselves. It's actually about much more than that. It's about the people around us. It's about community. It's about honoring God through what it is that we have. And Philo, this property we live on, is about so much more. And it's about making beautiful places and hospitable places that point to the hospitable heart of God towards us. And so if you are someone who needs a reminder that you are welcomed, you are loved, that you matter, let this be it. Okay? You are not more important than anyone else, but you're certainly not less important. So go and live from that place today, knowing that you are someone of great value. Thanks for hanging out with me. Until next time.